Shanghai, the largest city in the world. The Chinese characters meaning upon the sea. I'm making my first visit since 1980, a time when China had just reopened to the outside world. Shanghai at this time of the year is very cold. On arrival, we ate some Japanese saimin to warm up, and then we walked over to the main railway station to buy tickets for Suzhou the next day, and afterwards decided to get right into the Shanghai spirit by visiting the most famous landmark, the Bund. It is certainly a spectacular sight at night as ferries and tourist boats ply their trade, and the rich and famous brave the below-zero temperatures to get their first glimpse of this historical setting. These buildings were not only there in 1980, they've been there for over 100 years and still capture the interest and imagination. Next day, a visit to Suzhou, 75 miles from Shanghai, that takes less than 45 minutes on the 125 miles an hour express train. It was not a nice day, raining and cold, and not really the best day to take a tour, but it's an adventure and we were up for it. Like Shanghai, my last visit here had been almost 30 years ago, also in January. Our first port of call was the Lion Forest Garden, a World Heritage Site that was first built in the 14th century and is a man-made limestone garden complex built in the Yun Dynasty and very interesting. In addition to the impressive garden scenery, one can see many examples of ancient Chinese architecture and furniture. The problem that day was the rain. Lunch was especially welcome, and we took the opportunity to eat Shanghai food, which comprises mainly dumplings and noodles. After that, we continued our tour with a trip down the Grand Canal. This dates back to the 14th century and even further, and Suzhou's interlocking canals have led it to be called the Venice of the East, and it still is one of the most beautiful cities in China. This area, Panmen, was built in 1351 and contains the only major piece of the original city wall. The boat trips gave us an opportunity to see the fascinating waterside buildings, both ancient and modern, as we floated through the town to our next destination. The tour was a bargain. It cost 15 yuan. That's about $1.50 per head for a day tour that included boat trips and visits to gardens and parks. Next stop, the Fengqiu Scenic Region, a historic part of the city right on the Grand Canal that's been restored to show how it would have been 650 years ago. One can almost get a feel of life back then and imagine the place as it was. There weren't many people around that day due to the weather conditions, but a really great place to visit, even if it was raining. We decided to have a snack, and the local people who were running the stall had learned some Cantonese from the many Hong Kong tourists that passed through here. What they were selling was like a patty cum waffle. It cost 3 yuan, that's about 30 cents. They were very friendly, and we were very cold, and the snack really appreciated. I always enjoy having a joke. We made our way back up the river and then to the railway station to catch the evening train back to Shanghai. 23 degrees centigrade in the train and 4 degrees outside, moving at 200 kilometers an hour back to Shanghai. A very enjoyable day. In part 2 of Shanghai, we see a blend of old and new, the city, the shops, the drum band, the tea shop, the Yuyun Garden right in the center of the city. Another visit to the Bund and the old Shanghai, unchanged for 100 years, and much more.